Okay, today I shall be flying this Qantas 747-200 circa 1975 from Brisbane International Airport to Sydney International Airport. I shall be flying at 29,000 feet, and I shall now set the autopilot to 29,000 feet. We shall ascend at 2,400 feet per minute, and that's about all I need to say at the moment, except for the fact that I should extend my flaps to 10 degrees, and we shall now watch the rest of it from the tower. Plane is bouncing because it just does. It's a Flight Simulator 4 in Flight Simulator X, and it doesn't quite fit. So let's roll. Oops. It's not my microphone. Okay. There is a reading of the indicated speed, and when that speed reaches 120 knots, I shall direct the autopilot to lift the plane into the air, following the pre-set guidelines which I have punched into it. $70, 80, 90, 100. Let's bring up the dashboard. Okay, let's hold. And bring the old fellow into the air. Stow the landing gear. And when we reach 3,000 feet, I shall engage the GPS route coordinate system to take control of the navigation of the airplane, and then we shall head to our first waypoint, which will be the Gold Coast, on our way to Sydney. As you can see, the water effects are very low. I have the settings on 0 because it impacts on the frame rate, and I am not interested in whether the water looks good or not. I am interested purely in the frame rate. We're approaching 3,000 feet now, and at that point I shall put the GPS into action. We shall start that now. Steady airspeed of 249, close enough to 250 knots as prescribed. To play around with the views here for a moment. There we go, there's a flyby. Let it come around once again. Let's hop back inside for a moment, shall we? So, as you can see, here is a depiction of our plane, and we are headed towards this vector, which will route us to the Gold Coast there, and we should be there in 9 minutes. So let's get rid of that. Start retracting the flaps, considering we've got steady airspeed. Keep flaps at 5% for the moment. I shall terminate this particular scene when we reach around 12,000 feet and pick the video up again as we're approaching the Barara intersection on our way into land at Sydney Airport. Kingsford Smith International to be precise. So we're now at 8,600 feet. As soon as we get through 10,000 feet, I shall raise the speed to 380 knots indicated airspeed. Now 380 knots airspeed doesn't sound like a lot, but it's indicated airspeed and it's also relative to the altitude that you're flying at. The higher you fly, the thinner the air is, and therefore the lower the indicated airspeed is indicated. However, the ground speed is the speed that you are actually going relative to the ground, and that is quite a lot more than the airspeed. For example, the ground speed at the moment is 276 knots. 276 knots is roughly 304 miles per hour. Now we're picking up again into higher territory. We shall retract the flaps all the way. And in response to that, the nose of the aeroplane rises due to the fact that the retraction of the flaps reduces the overall lift, but also reduces the drag, and so therefore the auto throttle can start to accelerate the plane more freely, and the faster the plane goes, the more the nose will flatten out. Let's drop back outside again from here. Okay, so that's where we'll leave it just for the moment. And also we took off at 12 p.m. Sorry, to midday. Okay. Okay, at this point we're approaching the Newcastle intersection. Should be there in less than 1 minute. So what we're going to do right now is, actually we'll do it in this way because it looks more realistic. Bring the altitude down to 3,500 feet. See through that little hand there. 3, 4, 5, and we want to come down at 2,400 feet per minute, and we want to reduce the airspeed to 190. Right. Okay, now we're on our descent down to the Barara intersection, and that should take 6 minutes from where we are at the moment, 27,000 feet. Should lose about 18,000 feet if we were going to continue along at this speed, but because our airspeed is peeling off, then the estimated time of intersection of the Barara nodule will extend to meet the period of time where it's necessary for us to be at the altitude of 3,500 feet when we make the final turn into the approach for Sydney. .328, 327, which is reflected up there really. And, I'm bringing the altitude down. 328, 327, which is reflected up there really. And, I'm bringing the altitude down. 328, 327, which is reflected up there really. And, I'm bringing the altitude down. 328, 327, which is reflected up there really. And, I'm bringing the altitude down. 328, 327, which is reflected up there really. And, I'm bringing the altitude down. 328, 327, which is reflected up there really. And, I'm bringing the altitude down. 328, 327, which is reflected up there really. And, I'm bringing the altitude down. 328, 327, which is reflected up there really. And, I'm bringing the altitude down. 328, 327, which is reflected up there really. And, I'm bringing the altitude down. 328, 327, which is reflected up there really. And, I'm bringing the altitude down. 328, 327, which is reflected up there really. And, I'm bringing the altitude down. 328, 327, which is reflected up there really. And, I'm bringing the altitude down. 328, 327, which is reflected up there really. And, I'm bring We're still in GPS mode. And we will be switching to instrument landing systems, or ILS, when we intersect the Barara beacon. Okay, so I will spare you the 6 minutes of looking at that, and the next scene will be coming into Barara. We're over Newcastle at the moment. Okay, we're approaching the Barara beacon at the moment. We should be there very shortly indeed. As you can see, there it is. We've got 0 minutes to get there, which means less than 1 minute. Get ready for the turn in. Okay, nice and easy does it. 187 knots indicated airspeed. A little bit of stick to overcome the added drag of the turn. There's Sydney over there. That's what happens when you press the center button. So you look down at your dashboard, you want to look straight ahead again, and it does that, but that's a little bit too high for me, so I'll do that. Okay, now at this particular point of time, we're going to put the radio stacks onto navigation, and we're going to hit the approach. Got to line up with the airport over there, which you can't really see because it's being obscured by my A-pillar. That runway there, which looks foggy in the distance, but nevertheless it is a runway. So we have to get the machine lined up. We'll soon be dropping the undercarriage, but we'll only do that when the plane is stable on a glide slope. Okay, start dropping it now. Picking up a little bit of speed here, which I don't want, so I shall deploy the speed brake slightly. Straightening out now. You can see the horizon's almost straight. Do that just to get my bearings okay. Stick the undercarriage down. Oops, that way. Okay, we're headed in nice and easy, so we'll have a quick look at Sydney as we go past, even though it's 2003 video game version of Sydney. There's the Opera House, the Harbour Bridge, of which you cannot see the arch because it's rendered in a wireframe thing which is less than 1 pixel at this distance. There's the Centrepoint Tower. The general spread of Sydney, it's much bigger than that in reality. I mean, obviously, this being an American game, they don't put a hell of a lot of work into Antipodean cities. So let's just get back here. Bring the speed back now to 100. Oops, actually we'll do it this way because it looks more authentic. Speed back to 195. I can get it back to 180, 75, I should say. That'll do. Stick the flaps out to full. Okay, these lights here, if they go red, it means you are underneath the glide slope. If they go green, you are above the glide slope. And if they are white, then everything is alright. Sitting nicely on 171, 177 knots. Considering things are quite stable, I shall now disengage the auto throttle. There's always a little bit of turbulence when we pass that spot. Oh dear. Major amount of lift there. Okay. Turbulence there. Let's